Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I have some not great news of what's happening in the military, and the U.S. military in particular, and kind of where we be heading. I mean, where's already been things about the Russia wanting to highly likely be using nukes. How we're probably going to end another World War III. Obviously, thanks to Biden, and all this other great stuff. And that being said, it's not looking very good, and it's not looking very good for our actual troops as well. Now, some people are going to come out as me being sexist, but I'm going to start pointing out some actual facts here onto what is happening, why our military may also will be weakening, and on top of that, who we should and should not allow in the military, or in particular in infantry, because it seems to have a huge negative effect on how strong we can be. All right, guys, we're going to get directly into this article, and we'll show you the actual negatives and possibly positives of what's going to happen. Pentagon report finds 77% of young Americans are ineligible for military service. In total, 77% of Americans in the age bracket are ineligible due to drug use or health issues, including weight. The revelation comes as part of the analysis in the 2020 Qualified Available Study, which is conducted by the Pentagon's Office of Personnel and Readiness. Men considering youth disqualified for one reason alone, the most prevalent disqualification rates are overweight, drug and alcohol abuse, and medical physical health. 78% says the study, which was obtained by military.com. Additionally, 4% of potential recruits were disqualified for mental health reasons, and 1% were disqualified because of aptitude of good conduct or for being dependent. The majority of Americans, 44%, were disqualified from joining the military for one or more reasons. The study's results show a 6% increase in eligibility among young adults. The same study showed that 71% of 17 to 24-year-olds needed a waiver to join the military in 2017. At that time, obesity 11% and 11% drug and alcohol abuse and medical or physical abuse were the most common single reasons for disqualification, although the majority of 44% were ineligible for multiple reasons. In May, Army Chief of Staff James McConnell testified before Congress that only 23% of Americans ages 17 through 24 are qualified. The outlet reported that a 2022 Internal Defense Department survey found just 9% of those qualified were interested in joining the military, the lowest interest level since 2007. The military has struggled to meet its recruiting goals across most branches in recent years. As of June, the Army had roughly 40% of its enlistment recruiting goal for the 2022 fiscal year, which ends on September 30th. Air Force, which had not missed a recruitment goal since 1999, was projected to reach its goal of listing 50,000 airmen. The Air National Guard and Reserves were also expected to miss recruitment goals as well. While it had recruited 80% of its needed reservists and 93% of its needed officers, the Coast Guard had reached just 55% of its active duty enlistment goals by 6 months into the year. The Space Force, Active Duty Navy, and Active Duty Marines were both projected to meet their enlistment goals for 2022. Marine General David Octagon, who is the branch's deputy commandant for manpower and reserve affairs, told Congress that the quality of Marines remains exceptionally high, even though 2022 proved to be arguably the most challenging year in recruiting history. In addition to COVID-19, the growing disconnect and declining favorable view between the U.S. population and traditional institutions, labor shortages, high inflation, and a population of youth who do not see the value of military service also continue to strain recruiting efforts and place the Marine Corps' accession mission at risk. Octagon wrote in the statement. The stagnation has prompted concern among legislators who expressed concern about recruiting strategy and national security. At a budget meeting for the Internet Armed Services Committee in April, North Carolina Senator Thom Tillis said the military struggle to recruit needed service members should prompt the Defense Department and Congress to take action. I'm worried we're now in the early days of a long-term threat to the all-volunteer force with a small and declining number of Americans who are eligible and interested in military service, said Tillis. Every single metric tracking the military recruiting environment is going in the wrong direction. In most cases, we're seeing the worst numbers in the last few decades. California Congressman has said the military should review its marketing efforts to better appeal to Americans and its target age demographic. The Army has to recognize that there's been an evolution in that young population, says Spear, who chairs the police presidency. If you're going to target that young population for service, you're going to have to make it appealing to them. As Mackenzie Eaglin, a senior fellow for the American Enterprise Institute, wrote in August that 321,000, or 1% of the total age-eligible population, both qualified and inclined to join the military. She noted that low trust in the American government, COVID-19 vaccinations, and the tragic failure in Afghanistan and the broader long wars in the Middle East, as well as increasing politicization of the military, all contributed to the decline in potential recruits. I was going to say that if they were not going to mention that here. But yes, that is 100% the fucking reason onto why there would not be enough, why people will be dropping out. I'll continue and then go into my rant later. The struggles to meet active duty and strength levels are coming at a time for challenges confronting the nation are more numerous and more difficult. They demand not just a maintained force, but a larger one to keep people and national interests protected, wrote Eaglin. This means reforming military culture that incentivizes enlistment adequately, providing a quality life and pay for services, focusing more on attention and enlisted troops across the armed services, and rebuilding a closer relationship of trust and support with the American public. Okay, so this right here is probably the biggest thing that they would have. That would probably be indication of why. A lot of people don't like the government right now because of what they've been doing and what has caused these issues. We don't have a leader. Our leader is incompetent. He is not able to do anything. People are controlling him behind the scenes. We know this. So there is nothing to really want for this country. What do we want to fight for? We don't have a culture, and our culture is scuffed. So why would we fight for a country we don't want to, doesn't represent any values? The country constantly hates men. The country keeps on bringing down men, and we're trying to make equality for our country in terms of having women enter the infantry, which is having a very negative effect. Don't worry, fellas, I'll get into that. And where all these issues are propping up, it's like, if the reason why the biggest thing is like the like health issues and the obesity is like, that's because the military has been wokeified into wanting to make people have trans people and all this other stuff with mental issues. The reason why there might be more of a mental issue in the military is probably because we're enlisting trans people that actually have mental issues, and we can't, and enlisting them is causing a mental high. There might also be other reasons, of course, as well, that's causing these mental problems, but of course, we don't want to announce that the trans people may have some actual mental issues, which may be a reason why. On top of this, we have the military standard, which is being completely downplayed to what we have adequacy. So it's like, if we need to cater to like, oh, you're fat, it's okay to be fat. No, it's not. We have to have an actual standard to where we have the best people for the job. We used to be the strongest military in the world, man. We used to be there. It's like when we say something, it would be the law. We are no longer the law. We are pussified, and this is just the reality of what we have for the military today. We have to just cater to all these freaking people's feelings and all this other crap, and it's weakening our military. Like, here we go. To complete a boot camp, Army recruits have to pass a basic training physical fitness test. The test consists of 3 challenges: 2 minutes of push-ups, 2 minutes of sit-ups, and a timed 2-mile run. The Army bases scores on recruits' age, gender, number of repetitions, or amount of time taken for each component. To complete boot camp, recruits must score at least 50 points in each event for a total of 150 points. Now, this is me going directly at the women. Now, I'm not saying that women should not be in the military. What I'm saying is that women should not be allowed in the infantry because it's causing massive problems, and we're going to see issues there. I'm going to show you all the evidence that you need. Don't worry. For men ages 17 to 21, that means performing at least 35 push-ups, 47 sit-ups, and as well as 2 miles in no more than 16 minutes and 36 seconds. Male recruits ages 22 to 26 have to complete a minimum of 31 push-ups, 43 sit-ups, and a 2-mile run in 17 minutes and 30 seconds or less. Now, we have this. Women recruits ages 17 to 21 must be able to do 13 push-ups and 47 sit-ups and a post time of no more than 19 minutes and 42 seconds on the 2-mile run. Female recruits ages 22 to 26 have to perform 11 push-ups, 43 sit-ups, and a 2-mile run of 20 minutes and 36 seconds or less. And this is for the boot camp. Now, if we do the advanced infantry, we have physical fitness requires for advanced training. Male recruits ranges recruits ages 17 to 21 have to do 42 set push-ups, 53 sit-ups, and a 2-mile run in 15 minutes and 54 seconds or less. Women in the same age group have to complete 19 push-ups, 53 sit-ups, and 2 miles of running in 18 minutes and 54 seconds or less. For recruits ages 22 to 26, men have to manage 40 push-ups and 50 sit-ups, as well as 16-minute, 36, and 2-mile run. Women must do 17 push-ups, 50 sit-ups, and a 2-mile run rest in the 17 minutes and 36 seconds. This is horrible. Women have to do significantly less. And on top of that, it says, Army approves reduced physical fitness standards for women. That is horrible. This is weakening the military. I don't care what you say. You can call me a sexist all you want, but in reality is that they have to, in this particular standard, reduce it, which makes our military weaker. If we cannot have every single person of every single sex be able to produce at the same standard that men have to, you're automatically weakening the military. I don't care what you say. Now, I'm going to put this video up for all to see, so you can see how bad it is when we have women in the actual infantry. Take a look.
Their pull-ups on their PFDs.
But more than half the female recruits couldn't do it. So the Marines are pushing back the day when it becomes mandatory.
If you have a failure rate of 55% and 99% of the men are succeeding, obviously this is not going to work.
Men have to do 3 pull-ups minimum to pass the Marines fitness test. It takes 20 to earn a perfect score. Women had to meet the same minimum, but only need 8 pull-ups to score perfect. Because so few passed, the Marines will let them choose to hang on the bar for 15 seconds and pass without doing any pull-ups.
Wide grip stance that works best for you.
Marine Corps officials admit pull-ups are better, and the flexed arm hang elicits little muscular strength adaptations necessary for common military tasks, such as pulling oneself over obstacles or carrying equipment.
Recently, Congress has mandated Petronio. Good morning to you, Captain.
Good morning.
So before we talk about what may happen in the future, help me understand what women are allowed to do right now.
There's numerous support roles that women have right now. There are certain restrictions also, and that's what Congress is kind of mandating that we look into. Fields like infantry or artillery or tanks are areas that females have not been allowed to participate in.
So there was this push in the last couple of years to let women do more, to technically be on the so-called front lines. Do you agree with it?
Well, there's really no front line anymore. This is a conventional enemy. Females have definitely played a strong role in combat operations in a supporting capacity. My specific concern is opening up infantry for females.
Why?
It's definitely not a cost. The cost definitely outweighs the benefits. It's not going to help the individual, and it's not going to help the institution. We're a warfighting institution, and combat readiness needs to be at the front and foremost when we make decisions like this. And I don't think that this change is going to benefit anybody.
But why not?
Why not? There's an understanding or a misconception outside of the Marine Corps that preventing women from taking on these roles possibly restricts our opportunities for promotion. In the Marine Corps, men and women are promoted at the same rate. So the other question then I present is longevity. We're talking about opening up opportunities for females, but my concern that I point out in the article is that there's these gender-specific medical concerns that are going to come with opening these fields that I'm not so sure we've really thought about. And on the backside of that, there's going to be a cost associated with these medical conditions, and are we ready to pay the price for that?
I guess that was my question about why you think that it's a bad idea, because you yourself, I mean, by all regards, you're a very high-achieving woman, not only in life, but in the military. And what you point out in this article is that you went through some of the rigorous training that the men did, and what happened to you?
I've faced a lot of weight loss, muscle atrophy. I also developed polycystic ovarian syndrome, which for me resulted in infertility. It's a type of combat environment these days that's very strenuous, and I was only doing a portion of what our infantry brothers do. I'm physically fit, definitely one of the top in the females for physical fitness. However, I degraded. And of course, I understand that every female is going to break down at a different rate, but our male counterparts are breaking down also, and I just think it's an unnecessary risk that we could be taking on.
So let me understand this. If, in fact, women are going to be on these so-called front lines, I know you say they don't really exist anymore, but just for terminology, on the front lines, will it be their own personal choice to be allowed to try it out, or will they just be commanded to do that even if they don't want to?
This will be a blanket assignment, so any female who joins the Marine Corps, private, as an enlisted side, or as a second lieutenant, as an officer, can be told to serve as an infantryman, and she will have to serve in that capacity.
All right, Captain Katie Petronio, a U.S. Marine Corps member of the U.S. Marine Corps, who has written an article, and I imagine you've taken some heat for it, for standing up for what you believe in, but we appreciate you being.
As you can see here, this is one of the main reasons why women being in the infantry is a huge problem. Because if this is the issues that we face, there's a whole bunch of other problems too, obviously, that we have with, like, men not being conditionally made, wokism in the actual in the military, and all this other stuff they're actually doing, which is weakening our military. But also, this is not helping the military either. If we're going to be fair, if we're going to be right, yes, women can enter the infantry. They can, if they're able to meet the standards of men. If they can't, put them somewhere else in the military where they can be effective. That does not mean that they're weaker than us or not useful. It just means that they would be in a better suited area, like maybe in a tank, a vehicle, a plane, stuff like that, to where women can be better suited for stuff that doesn't have to be on the ground. This is where people seem to really think that, like, when we say stuff like this, oh, you're being sexist or whatever. No. What we're saying is that men and women are different, and that men excel in certain things that women cannot excel in, and men are excelling in this, and we need to put women into something somewhere else in the military. They can still be on the ground, like in vehicles or stuff like that, or drones or what have you. That it doesn't require so much physical effort. Sure, make them do the normal boot camp stuff and stuff like that, but put them in places where they don't have to be on the ground, because it's going to be catastrophic for the military if you keep having them on the ground like this. It's not going to be good. Alright? And as for the men, we need to go back to the normal standards, being more brutal on men and stuff like that. Maybe make living situations better for the military, for the men in general that are enlisting. Maybe make up the pay. Maybe be less of an asshole. Like, maybe do things that are actually good for for Americans. Not stuff that is too woke and stuff. Well, there's a lot of things you can do to upgrade the military, but doing this type of stuff is not it. Alright guys, that's it for the video. Like, subscribe, share, and as always, take care.